We've been very lucky to a short while ago speak to Dr. Fahad Izadi, professor at the University of Tehran. I appreciate you joining us, Dr. Izadi, at a time which no doubt is very difficult for your country. Give us a sense, first of all, Dr. Izadi, of the mood on the streets of Tehran, particularly with the news coming in of Ali Khamenei, your leader, the Supreme Leader who ruled the country for 40 years, has been killed in those attacks. And there's a sense that there are reports that several of the commanders of the Iranian Revolutionary Guards have also been killed in these joint U.S. Israeli operations. What is the mood on the ground as these reports filtered in this morning?
I don't know if you have seen pictures from Iran. Millions of people, millions, showed up to the streets in some cities under the bombardment. And they were grieving. The people don't like their country to be attacked, don't like the leaders of the country to be killed. There may be some people who have disagreement on policy issues or other things. Yesterday, we lost over 140 little girls in an elementary girls' school. People don't like to send their children to a school and pick up the body of that young child. The country is going through very difficult times. We are dealing with the Epstein class. These people like to rape little American girls and like to bomb and kill little Iranian girls. And the country is uniting. We have this rally around flag effect. If the aim of these attacks were to change Iran's government, it's doing the opposite. People are getting united against United States and Israel.
You're saying, Professor, people are getting united. But the truth is, on the flip side of it, we've also seen videos of people on Tehran streets and other parts of Iran celebrating. This comes against the backdrop, Professor, of reports over the last month of crackdowns on protesters, those opposed to the regime in Iran. Hundreds of them, we are told, were killed, many civilians. There is therefore undoubted anger, wouldn't you agree? There's the economic crisis in your country and against what is now seen as an oppressive, repressive regime by many. So would you agree that there are also those who will sort of quietly celebrate, even as those who are grieving at the death of Khamenei? Would I be right in saying that Iran is divided and not united?
In London, in New York, these are the Pahlavi supporters. Their support inside Iran is very small, extremely small. When Gandhi in India was killed, I think some people celebrated. But when you compare those people with the number of the people who grieved, you cannot compare. This is the situation we have. We had the Pahlavi going to Israel 2 times in the middle of genocide. He works for the Israelis and the Americans. And yes, these people outside Iran have some family members inside Iran. But those people, I don't want to say they are less than 1% of the population, because that would be too much. These people killed over 200 police officers in Iran during the riots. They were orchestrated by Mossad. This was a regime change operation that failed. That's why they have to bomb Iran now, because their operation last time didn't work.
Sir, you seem to suggest that the protests were a Mossad operation. I think the comparison with Gandhi, sir, and Khamenei is rather far-fetched. But let's talk about regime change, because it seems that the operation now that the US and Israel are conducting is for a regime change. And in 24 hours, with so many of your leaders now killed, and a large part of the Revolutionary Guard leadership, dare I say, annihilated, do you not see the real possibility of a regime change, which seems to be the clear goal of this Operation Epic Fury?
What I'm saying is that don't fall for Western media's propaganda points. These people want to demonize Iran because they want to plunder Iran's resources the same way they did during the Shah's time. But we are talking to Indian media. We have had historical relations with India, a lot of cultural ties with India. The revolution in 1979 was an imperialism, anti-colonialism revolution, similar to what you had. India has this very proud history of opposing colonialism. So the suggestion that I have is that if they want to change Iran's government, and this is not my analysis and Iranian professors' analysis, this is what Trump said yesterday. This is what Netanyahu said yesterday. When they want to change a government, they have to demonize that government. They have to exaggerate the numbers. Iranian government published the names of 3,007 people who were killed during the riots. They couldn't add one more. The Iranian government published the ID numbers and full names. Trump went to the State of Union address and said 32,000 were killed. These are lies. Don't fall for Trump lies.
But Professor, with due regards, it's not just about demonization and propaganda. You cannot deny, Professor, that the Iranian regime is widely seen to have exported terror and violence through groups like the Hezbollah, the Houthis, the Hamas. There is a belief that today when Gulf states are being attacked by Iranian missiles, the UAE is asking Iran to come back to its senses because Iran is seen now as a country exporting terror across the region. You go ahead with your nuclear program despite the sanctions that have taken place. As a result, you become a pariah state. Critics argue that women in your country don't get equal status. All of this has led to what you're calling demonization. But many will also say that the truth is that the Iranian regime under Khamenei was dangerous for the stability of the region. How do you respond to that constant refrain, particularly from Tel Aviv and Washington, that Iran is dangerous to the stability of the Gulf and the Middle East and indeed the world?
Yeah, this is what Netanyahu says. This is what Trump says. If a portion of India is occupied by China and Indians want to free the land, would you call them terrorists? This is what Hezbollah did. Israelis occupied Lebanese territory, and Hezbollah, under the UN Charter, has the right to free the land that belongs to Lebanon. If you want to call them terrorists, be my guest. But this is not accurate journalism. This is Western propaganda. You know, we have to look at the realities. Iran did not want to fight the United States. I don't know if you have seen the interview the Omani foreign minister had with the American television, CBS News. He basically begged Trump not to attack Iran. He said that an agreement was available in 24 hours. And Trump attacked Iran less than 24 hours after that interview. They wanted to change Iran's government. This is what they're saying. This is not what I'm saying. This is what they're saying. They were not available for a diplomatic solution. India, historically, has been in favor of diplomacy. And falling for Netanyahu propaganda points is not something that good journalism would dictate.
So the question, therefore, Professor, is what happens next? Who replaces Ali Khamenei? There's talk of an advisory council headed by Ali Reza that will lead this advisory council. But how stable will this be without someone like Ali Khamenei, who was there dominant for 36 years and more, to guide it? Will you agree that this structure that was built by the Islamic Revolution in the late 1970s is now finally in danger of collapsing without Mr. Khamenei at the head of it?
No, Iran has a constitution. Iran also has 7,000 of history. It's an old civilization. We have been around for a while. The constitution says that if the leader is not available to do his functions, then you have a council of three-member council. You have the country's president, you have the head of judiciary, and you have a member of the Guardian Council. These people will lead the country until the new leader is elected. We have this assembly of experts, 88 people. The people who are in that assembly are elected with direct vote of the people, and their job is to elect the country's leader. Iran will have a leader in the next few days.
No, Professor Izadi, you're making it sound as if this will be a very easy transition, that it's all perfectly normal Truth of the matter, sir, is your country is under an unprecedented attack from U.S. and Israeli forces jointly. You, in turn, sir, are sending out, or Iran is sending out missiles attacking UAE missiles into Bahrain, into Kuwait, into Qatar. It is not a normal situation. Therefore, do you agree, heading therefore to a period of chronic instability? And will that chronic instability last now for a prolonged period? Shouldn't that be of concern?
I'm not saying we are in a normal situation. I'm saying that Iran is fighting for Iran and Iran is fighting for the civilized world against the Epstein class. If they can get away with their policies towards Iran, if they can dominate
Gulf
Iran,
states.
independent countries would be next. They would come after India, they would go after China, they would go after Russia. These are dangerous people. These are dangerous people. In order to have some economic advantage, they would do anything. They would kill as many people as they want. They call this the Dahiya doctrine. It has a Wikipedia entry. You can look at it. Inflicting major damage to civilization, to civilized civil infrastructure, killing civilians as much as they can. This is what they did in Gaza. They want to make Tehran look like Gaza. This is not normal. We are not dealing with normal people. And what we expect from people around the world, including people from India, to understand what's going on. Don't fall for the propaganda points.
Professor, you keep telling me that the people of India need to realize that this is Western propaganda. But there's one issue which is deeply troubling many people across the world in recent times about Iran. That's been women's rights. And there has been an anger which has boiled against the Iranian regime because of treatment of women, that you can't have in the 21st century a repressive regime that denies gender equality. In a sense, the revolution that started in 79, are we seeing it being devoured in this manner because you were unable to really create an equal egalitarian society, and sooner or later it was going to collapse in some form or the other?
I would say stay away from Islamophobia. Unfortunately, in India, we have some people who like to engage in Islamophobia. Do you know the percentage of female university students in Iran? Do you know that? It's 60%. We got 60% female, 40% male. I teach at University of Tehran. Most of my students are female. This idea that women are oppressed could be true in some other countries, but not in Iran. Iran has this ancient civilization. We respect our women, and we make sure that the people who kill our women and kill our little girls will pay a price. And Iran will attack US bases in this part of the world. They are not attacking UAE or Saudi Arabia or other places. Unfortunately, the US bases happen to be in these countries. They decided to provide services to the United States, and Iran is hitting these bases. Iran hit the CIA headquarters in Dubai, yes. Legitimate military target. Iran is hitting Israeli installations in Dubai. Legitimate military target. Iranian leaders have realized that unless attacking Iran is costly, they will kill the next leader of Iran.
Sir, what you're suggesting, Professor, it appears that Iran is now preparing, therefore, for a prolonged war, irrespective of civilian casualties. You mentioned about the school children who lost their lives only yesterday. Is Iran prepared to go into this long war with a powerful enemy like the United States and Israel, even if it means the loss potentially of thousands of civilians in your country, sir?
What is the alternative? Last time in June when Iran was attacked, Iran's response was quite limited. Iran attacked one base and announced that Iran is going to attack that base. This is what we did. Iran exercised restraint. And look what we got. We got the country's leader assassinated. People realize that the other side only understands the language of force. Iran wanted to have a diplomatic solution. They did not want to have diplomacy. They wanted to have war. They started this war. Iranians will finish it.
You know, you're saying something big. You're saying the Americans started or the Israelis started the war, Iran will finish it. But as I said, you seem to believe that Iran has the capacity for a prolonged war irrespective of casualties and the consequences for the region. Really, is Iran really ready to fight this war irrespective of the consequences for your people, sir?
Okay, good. Can you give me another option? Does Iran have any other option? Can Iran do something else? Iran tried diplomacy. They attacked Iran in the middle of diplomatic talks 2 times, not just 1 time. Last time they attacked, we were talking to the other side. We were supposed to go to the next round of negotiations. United States announced that they would send a technical team to Vienna for technical talks. And now we realize these are deception operations. What other option can Iran have?
You know, sir, you're raising India in several times in your answers. I'll ask you in conclusion, what do you really expect India to do in a situation that like this? India has called both sides to observe restraint for de-escalation. What more do you really want India to do, sir?
Understand what's going on. You know, Iran-India relations has been historical. We have this economic cooperation in Chabahar. India used to import a lot of oil from Iran. They can do that if they want to. We share a common history, a common, a lot of Indian words come from Persian, come from Farsi. Just understand what's going on. We are worried. We're worried that the current Indian government is getting too close to Israel. I wouldn't do that. These are genocidal people. Going back to the spirit of anti-colonialism is what Iran expects from India.
Okay, Professor Izadi, I want to leave it there. I know you've come at a time when you're in a very difficult situation amidst difficult internet connections for you to join us and give us a view from the ground there in Tehran. Thank you very much for giving me an Iranian perspective, and stay safe